Welcome to the Moment Masters Show, where we empower you to be functional entrepreneurs by helping you hone your capability to recognize the hidden opportunities that cultivate wildly successful and profitable ventures. And now, please welcome your host, the Small Biz Whisperer, Shakira M. Brown.
Yes. Welcome everyone to another episode of the Moment Masters Show, where we help you master the very moment in which you have the opportunity to sell your goods and services to your target audience. This podcast is all about arming you with the tools you need to achieve the growth and success you want. I am Shakira Brown. You can learn more about me at momentmasters.com, or you can visit my business website at shakirabrown.com. And if you are not following me on Twitter, why aren't you? It's so easy to do so. Just go to Twitter, enter at Small Biz Whisperer, that's at Small Biz Whisperer, where I post a myriad of tips and tricks of my own insightful musings, as well as some from small business marketing and sales gurus. So definitely check that out. And of course, you can see my social media links at momentmasters.com in the show notes for this episode or any episode. Marketing is something that actually is an elusive task for small business owners, high growth, middle market, whatever you want to call them. They all struggle with the same thing. When I'm advising small business owners with businesses, maybe they've been around for over 10 years, they still struggle with how to market their business. They kind of dib and dab in different things. They do silly things like buying billboards for 30 days, which of course has no traction after just 30 days. Buying an ad for one issue of a monthly magazine, of course, that will have no impact. And these are things that plague small businesses. Small businesses typically are wasting a lot of money on marketing because there really is no strategy around it. And they don't understand what it takes to make the impact necessary to convert someone who's a shopper into a customer. And people like myself and my next guest help small business owners figure out the puzzle of marketing. And Louis Gudema, who has been on the Moment Masters show before talking about, how to do cheaper, faster marketing, is returning to talk about a new book that he has available on Amazon, which will be a link in the show notes, called Bullseye Marketing, How to Grow Your Business Faster. He's going to give you some sage advice of things that he has discovered by working with clients, and we'll have all of that right after these brief words. Let me ask you, would you like to make your product or service irresistible to buyers? Would you like to attract more prospects and customers easier and more effectively than ever before? Would you like to never again have to explain what you do or what you offer over and over again to the same people? Would you like to learn the one thing that will boost your business into action? If you've answered yes to any of these questions, then what you want is a brand strategy. If you would like to have a branding experience that is actually rewarding, enlightening, and nearly effortless, then check out my 3-month, one-on-one, private intensive brand coaching program designed for business leaders like you who are ambitious, busy, work hard, and are ready to invest in your future success. For more information, click the link in the show notes of this episode. You can also email me at podcast@momentmasters.com for details. Remember, only you can decide to make your business grow into one that allows you to spend more time doing absolutely what you love, or you can simply treat it as a hobby. It's your choice. Louis Gudema, welcome to the Moment Masters show, and thanks for coming back.
Thank you, Shakira, for having me back. I really enjoyed the last time we talked, and I'm looking forward to talking with you again.
Well, it's wonderful to have you back on only because you have a book now. The book is titled Bullseye Marketing, How to Grow Your Business Faster. And I love that topic. I love that subtitle. I think it's great. Tell me about how you developed this proprietary marketing framework.
So I've worked with a lot of different kinds of companies, from literally 1 or 2 person startups with no venture funding to 10 companies and nonprofits and kind of everything in between. And I realized over the last few years that I had developed a playbook when I started working with the company about the kinds of steps that they could take to get the fastest, most cost-effective results and have some quick wins and prove that marketing could work for them. And so then about 1.5 years, 2 years ago, I started to think, well, why do I have this playbook? Does this really make sense? And as I looked at it and thought about it, I decided that it did make sense. And then I called it Bullseye Marketing, which really breaks marketing for a company that wants to start or scale a marketing program into 3 stages. And, I really target small and mid-sized companies with this, but frankly, I've worked with, as I said, some multi-billion-dollar companies and today where I see some of these bullseye opportunities for them also. So that's where it really came from, was that experience of working with a lot of companies, seeing a lot of opportunities that they weren't taking advantage of, and how they really could get some fast results if they did.
Wow, that's awesome. One of the things that, we both probably recognize is about business leaders, especially people who are, putting together a business for long-term growth, is, the marketing piece sometimes is sort of haphazardly done. Is this book, the Bullseye Marketing book, going to help people who have existing businesses, or is it good for startups? Who do you think is the best for to read this book?
I think it's really ideal for companies that have been around for a few years. The center of the bullseye, and I'll explain why I say that, the center of the bullseye is to take advantage of what I call marketing assets that companies have. And those are things like your existing customer relationships, the traffic to your website, your email list, things that companies that have been around for at least a few years have already built up, but almost invariably, in my experience, are not taking advantage of. And so, for example, companies rarely have many calls to action or on their website. They're not optimized for getting visitors to do anything. 99.9% of visitors come and go and without a trace. Or I literally will start talking with a company. I had this conversation recently where I said, how many email contacts do you have? And the general manager said, we have 9,000. And I said, great. How often do you email them? And he said, that's Christmas. So companies that have been around for a while, even just a few years, have these marketing assets that very few are taking advantage of. And yet it's because they have them, because they own them, they take advantage of those and get results pretty quickly and inexpensively usually. For a startup, there are all sorts of tips and tactics that they can learn from the book. But they have a bigger challenge or a different challenge because they really have to, they're starting from zero. They have to scrape for all the new contacts and all their new customers. And so that's a little different situation. And I have a lot of experience with that, but it's definitely a different challenge than what Bullseye Marketing is primarily focused on.
Yeah, I want to go back to what you said about the company that you would ask. They had 9,000 people on their list, and they only talk to them once a year. That's one of my big pet peeves is companies spending so much time, and I would say the CEOs and presidents of companies looking at the people that don't know them and trying to figure out how to reach them and spending a ton of money trying to reach them and then not nurturing their own list and not providing content of value. So that's something that's near and dear to my heart. So that really resonated with me. So tell me, why does the world need another book, like a marketing book? You know, you can go to the library or the bookstore, Kindle store, or, you know, whatever, and find like a gazillion marketing books. Why does the world need this one?
Well, I think there's a lot of marketing books that push particular approaches that are actually not the most effective or fastest. And so, for example, content marketing or inbound marketing typically takes 2 or 3 years to really produce results for most companies. The same thing with social media. Social media gets a lot of buzz these days. It gets a lot of attention. There's a million blogs about it and podcasts and books, but it also is a slow way to leads. In fact, the consulting firm McKinsey estimates that email marketing is 40 times more powerful than social media for generating new business. And so I think a lot of books advocate approaches or tactics that actually don't produce fast results for companies. And what the bullseye marketing approach does, and what I explain in the book, is this 3-step process, starting first with take advantage of those marketing assets you already own that are so inexpensive and fast to use. Secondly, when you're starting to look for new customers, focus on people who actually want to buy now, and how can you identify those people? Because it's a big world, and you know, if someone just bought a car last month, they're not looking for another car. How can you find those people who are really looking to buy now? And then the third phase is the kind of general awareness and brand building, like social media and content marketing and advertising, that a lot of people really push these days, and a lot of books are about, actually don't produce very fast results in the short run. In the long run, those are good things to do after you've done the first 2 phases. But if you start with that, after 6 or 8 months, pretty likely the CEO is going to say, well, we knew marketing didn't work, and the whole thing will get scrapped.
And that's exactly what happens, you know, that frustration of spending money and then not seeing the results. But, you know, strategy is everything. And I think this book is providing the framework for a strategy. Now, is this intended for people to read the book? Now, forgive me, just interrupt myself here. The book is a true tome. It's 350 pages with color illustrations and also all kinds of examples. It's really in depth. Is it expected that people will go through this book and be able to execute on the advice on their own?
To some degree, but I think that what someone's going to come away with is that, first of all, there are hundreds of tips and best practices explained. As you said, it's over 350 pages. There's something of value on every page, I hope. There are over 100 full-color examples of great marketing and how-tos in the book. So someone who wants to try to do it on their own certainly is going to get a lot of tips for how to do that. But marketing takes time, and frankly, it takes experience. And as much as doing it on their own, they're probably going to learn, if they haven't done marketing before, if they're heading up a company and don't have a lot of experience with it, they may learn a lot about what to look for in the marketers that they're working, that they engage with, whether those are consultants or agencies or employees, and how to manage them. So I just got great feedback from someone who is reading an early copy of the book just this morning. And I deliberately wrote this in a very accessible way. This is not a highly academic, theoretical book. And he wrote, in all honesty, I've not read a marketing book that was this easy to follow, understand, and relate to in real time. And this is not a guy with deep marketing experience. So people are going to get a lot from it. But marketing, frankly, these programs take time. And the biggest challenge that a lot of companies have when they start to ramp up their marketing, when I work with them, is people are already 100% busy before they take this on. And so they have to, first of all, even if they're working with a consultant or an agency, they have to free up a few hours a week to provide the feedback and the advice and make decisions and so forth that agency or consultant needs. But they shouldn't go into it thinking that there's no investment in time or money, or that it's just a simple thing that they can just do from the book. My advice is read the book, but also work with people who are highly experienced, because after describing the bullseye approach in the book, I go into a lot of detail on about 20 different marketing programs that companies can do, different tactics like email marketing or search advertising. But frankly, having someone who's really experienced in those, as with anyone you hire, experience matters.
This is so true. Experience is something that it could look good on paper if someone has spent a lot of time at different places, but if they actually haven't done the work and understand the methodology of doing marketing and applying different tactics, it could be a big waste of money. So let's tell the audience a little bit about, give me one nugget from the book that you feel will help people in a different way than what they've known about marketing.
Well, as you know, Shakira, modern marketing, and that's why I say there's hundreds of tips and best practices. Modern marketing is about trying lots of things and building up an accumulation of them that combined tend to really start to produce results for you. So there's not like, oh, this is the one secret that's going to totally change your life and totally change your business results. But what the two things that I put very early on are understanding your customer, what they really want, talking to them, researching them, as we were talking about before, putting more of an emphasis on retaining and growing existing customers and accounts rather than so much emphasis on gaining new ones, because it's 5 to 25 times more expensive to get a new customer than to retain and grow an existing one. And since that retention and growth is so relatively inexpensive, that's highly profitable revenue that you're bringing on also. And, customers, clients of mine that I work with often, even if they're service companies, and you would think that they were very close to their customers, often don't understand what's really important to their customer or why their customer is working with them. And so, that true understanding, that's really critical in providing the customers what they want. And then the second thing, big tip that I would have for people is to focus on what in the industry is called conversion optimization. So a conversion is when you get someone to do something you want them to, whether if you're an e-commerce site, that's to buy something. But, most companies aren't e-commerce sites, so it might be to sign up for a webinar, to download a white paper, to join a mailing list, to be a volunteer for a nonprofit or make a donation to a nonprofit. Whatever that thing is that you really want people to come to your website and do, that's called a conversion. And most companies don't have those conversion experiences on their websites. They don't have those calls to action. Excuse me. And they don't do the testing and the improving and the optimizing of those conversion experiences that can make huge differences. And so if you're spending money and time trying to get people to come to your website, you don't have it set up for that conversion experience, that's like trying to fill a bucket that's full of holes. you're just wasting a lot of money. And so those are the two of those to really focus on first is that customer understanding and retention and growth, and getting the conversion experience right before you put a lot of effort into getting more people to your website.
Wow, that's really great advice that people should definitely pay attention to. One of the things that people feel that they have a great website, it's because it's visually stunning. But if there's no calls to action, then people most likely will just enjoy your beautiful, visually stunning website and keep it moving. They'll go somewhere else. They'll get lost in the beauty of said visually stunning website. You've got to tell people what you want them to do. That sounds like some of the advice that they're going to get a lot of in the Bullseye Marketing book. Yeah,
absolutely. And you may have a beautiful brochure, but it's not going to produce much in the way of business results. I actually was just having a conversation with a CEO a few days ago who really understood this. And he said, we have a beautiful website and it does nothing for us. So we need to make this website actually get to work for us. And he was right. It had, it had a lot of different messages. It wasn't focused. It had no calls to action, no conversion opportunities, but it looked great.
That always happens. They get caught up in the aesthetics of the site and imagining what things are going to be flying around on the screen or looking at the brochure and seeing that their picture looks great. I've seen it all, Louis. I've seen people focus on the most ridiculous things on their collateral materials, and never are they focused on the action that they want the reader or the visitor to take. And so that really is something. And I can tell you from experience that in professional services firms, accounting firms, law firms, they are notorious for that. They love the bells and whistles, but they don't put any strategy behind it. So there's a lot of strategy that you're going to be able to glean from the Bullseye Marketing book. And could you tell me the journey of writing this book? Let's get into that. I'm personally writing a book proposal right now, and it's way more difficult than I thought it was going to be. But tell me about the journey of putting this book together. How long did it take? What was your, the discipline that you put together as far as a schedule to write? Let's tell the audience about that.
So the book writing, I write a lot. So I write a lot of blog posts, guest blog posts. For the last couple of years, I've been sending out a daily email marketing tip, and that was part of the genesis of the book writing, because I would write these marketing tips in a Word file, and after writing for them for about a year, I noticed at the bottom of the Word it says how many words you have in that file. It said over 60,000 words, and I said, well, that's a book. If I can write a book worth of tips in a year, I could actually write a book. And so, and I had developed this bullseye approach around the same time, and so I said, well, okay, that's the perfect subject to do the book on. And, one of the ways that people can write a book, I did a bit of this, but not totally. What some nonfiction or marketing writers do is essentially they create an outline and they write a series of blog posts that collectively, they know are a book. And I thought of each chapter essentially as a blog post, even if I didn't post it to my blog. And so each chapter, whether it's on search marketing or content marketing or social media or that conversion optimization, each chapter is roughly, in most cases, around 3,000 words. And so it's a good introduction to each of those topics, but, even with 3,000 words, you're not going to cover everything about a topic. And it took about a year. There were a few times when I, kind of lost my energy for a few weeks or a month or so, and then, got back to it. What I sometimes would be doing in those periods is reading about subjects I knew I had to write about that I needed more research on, but I wasn't really ready to go and write about them that day. And the big surprise, I would say, for new authors, first of all, whether you're self-publishing or you have a publishing company, you're going to be, unless you're extraordinarily lucky or prominent, you're going to be doing all the marketing. And so as a marketer, that wasn't so foreign to me, so that was fine. I could work that out. But new authors should understand that publishers expect them to do pretty much all the marketing. And if you are self-publishing or not even, publishers will take, it can take like 2 years from the time that you sign on with them to get your book out. If you're self-publishing, it can be faster, but definitely put in to your schedule time to go through a lot of proofreading and a lot of correcting. If you need permissions from third parties to use material, that can take longer than you think it will. So that after writing part, when you think the writing's done, you still have a lot of work to do around the editing, proofing, and permissions. And put in enough time in your schedule so you can reach out to people like you, Shakira, the podcasts and the other platform influencers in the industry. Ideally, a month or two before you're going to launch your book, so you can get on their schedule around the time of your launch. So those are all some of the things that I have learned or over the last year and a half.
Wow, it sounds like you spent, quite a bit of time researching and of how to put your book together, and you gave some really great advice there. Let's get back to one thing before we go, because I don't want to keep you. I could keep you on forever talking about marketing, but why don't companies market the right way? What are they missing? What is it that they are not doing or not understanding about marketing?
So I think there's two reasons why companies, especially smaller companies, don't market more or better. The first is it's just not in their DNA. The people who start companies are really experts in their field, and they become at least capable salespeople, or the company doesn't survive at all. Marketing is just a whole different discipline that they don't understand, and they probably see it as an expense rather than an investment, and equate it with just advertising and promotion. And marketing, as you know, is much, much more than that. But secondly, if they are inclined to do marketing, if they think they want to grow faster and that marketing is the way to do that, they're just presented with this incredibly complex and complicated field now. If you think back 30 years or so, there were really only 6 or 8 channels that marketers could use to reach their customers. You had print and radio and TV and direct mail and billboards and events and a couple others, and that was about it. But now you have dozens and dozens of social media and search engine optimization and websites and mobile, virtual reality and augmented reality, and just there's almost a new one every year. And along with that, there's literally over 6,000 vendors selling software into the space, which means there's 6,000 companies out there making claims that theirs is the best and the way to go. And so there's so many options and so many tools and so many competing claims that if someone isn't really kind of deeply immersed in it, they can pretty quickly get overwhelmed. Even experienced marketers can be overwhelmed. And so that's one of the things I really wanted to do in the Bullseye book, to explain to people in this increasingly complex marketing landscape, you don't have to know everything. You don't have to focus on everything. Here's the small subset that you can focus on that's really going to produce the fastest, most cost-effective results for you, and then you can move out to those other programs and those other opportunities.
Well, I'm so glad that you decided to put this book together to help people who don't realize basically that their marketing sucks and that they need to do something about it. And that you're providing them with a resource of a plethora of information and tips and advice to move their businesses forward with marketing. Well, let's tell everybody where they can purchase the book online or wherever.
Well, they can get it on Amazon, of course. And so they can they can get a physical version of it or an electronic version or on the Apple Store. And you can order it through your local bookstore if they're not carrying it. The physical version, as always, is more expensive, but it is a glorious thing. You just have a little more control over layout and such in the physical over the electronic. But go to Amazon and you can buy the Kindle version or the physical version there.
Well, Louis, you are the author of Bullseye Marketing, How to Grow Your Business Faster. This book sounds amazing. I hope everyone who's listening gives it a go and buys the book and follows some of the methodologies in there. It sounds like there's a lot for people to follow in it and to be able to expand their own business with some marketing strategies that can make sense for them and, of course, can help them grow their business faster. I mean, because that's like the whole book, right?
Exactly.
So there's one other thing I want to tell the audience about Louis, and Louis is actually one of the speakers during Growth and Success Con 2018. It's happening in September. It is a free virtual conference. I'm going to say that again. It's a free virtual conference, and Louis will be sharing his insights once again as part of Growth and Success Con 2018. Louis, tell the audience what you're going to be focused on in your presentation during Growth and Success Con this year.
Well, my presentation is called Who Says Your Marketing Can't Be Better, Faster, and Cheaper? And I'm going to be able to have a little more time there to drill down with more specific examples of how to implement bullseye marketing, produce fast, inexpensive results for your company. And so I'm really looking forward to that. It's a talk that I've given to a few other organizations. I've gotten some great feedback on it. People seems to really resonate with people, and they get a lot of useful tips and advice there. And I'm looking forward to engaging with your group on that too.
That's great. Growth and Success Con is happening September 17th and 18th, free online. It's a virtual conference. It's going to be a series of webinars featuring experts like Louis, like myself. Go to growthsuccesscon.com. That's growthsuccesscon.com, and you'll get all the information to register and be a part of this wonderful event. And again, it's free. It's all for small businesses and entrepreneurs and people who are dreaming in their offices, thinking about starting a business. And all that information will be in the show notes. And also, you'll find in the show notes information about the Bullseye Marketing book, How to Grow Your Business Faster, and links to Amazon for information on that. So, Louis, I want to again thank you for coming on the show and sharing your insights and giving us more information about your book. And I wish you well with that.
Thank you, Shakira. It's been a pleasure as always.
I want to thank Louis Gudema for coming on the Moment Masters show once again and sharing more information about marketing. You know, the conversation we had is really between two consultants, two people who work with small business owners on a regular basis. And one of the things that we know for sure is that there are many small business owners who their discipline is not marketing. You know, maybe they're plumbers, maybe they're landscapers. Maybe they're general contractors, and their bailiwick is not marketing. And it is important to take the advice of seasoned experts like myself, like Louis, and to potentially hire them to help you grow your business. But if you don't want to do that, you have to actually educate yourself. And that's what we're doing here in the Moment Master Show. That's what Louis is doing in his book. And I hope that if you find yourself in that situation, if you describe yourself as a non-marketer who owns a business, that you take the time to continue to advance your knowledge of how to do marketing strategies. And to also read books like Louis' Bullseye Marketing book, listen to the Moment Master Show, and also attending events that can help you grow and succeed, such as Growth and Success Con 2018, which we mentioned is happening in September 17th and 18th, 2018. Louis is going to be involved. I'm going to be involved. There's a whole bunch of other great consultants and coaches that are going to be available to help you. So definitely check that out. All the information is in the show notes. You can find more information about Louis' book, The Bullseye Marketing, How to Grow Your Business Faster, in the show notes of this episode. It's available on Amazon, but you don't have to search for it. You can click right on the link in the show notes of the episode. If you enjoyed this episode, and I hope you did, please leave a heartfelt review on iTunes. It will help other people like you find this program. If you have any questions or comments or would like to be a guest on the show, please email me at podcast@momentmasters.com. That's podcast@momentmasters.com. If you are looking for other ways to optimize your business, I'd love for you to join me on one of my live webinars, which you can find at functionalentrepreneur.com. That's functionalentrepreneur.com. I'm offering some really great insights for small business owners and startup businesses like yours to focus in on the most important things to move you forward. Please check them out at functionalentrepreneur.com. Thank you so much for listening today. My name is Shakira Brown, also known as the Small Biz Whisperer, and wherever you may be and whatever time it is right now, I hope you learned a little something to truly become a moment master. Take care.